We are live.
All right, welcome to the semifinals, week 16 here at Just AwFFL Sports. I'm Jeff Kapis with Andrew Fredericks and Jacob Fredericks. The first round results are in, and we're just holding on for one more day in at least one league. So let's talk about our results, where we stand, how things are going. Andrew, how did we do in the semifinals? Sorry, quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So didn't make it to the semifinals. Lost 2 out of 3 for this week. I did have a first round bye in one league, so thank
That's
goodness,
good.
because when I get to that league, you'll know why I have tears forming in my eyes. Our keeper and our auction league, they're a 14 teamer. I'll let you talk about the keeper one. Thanks you for the ass ripping. In the AFL, our 14 teamer, I had Jonathan Taylor. He did not do Jonathan Taylor things. And I lost Devin Neal and Christian Watson in the same game. Hard to win when that happens. And I went against Brandon Aubrey again, who had 16.6 points this week. Just 16.6 for a kicker, which pretty much outscored everybody that I had. In our home league, the League of Bastards, where I luckily have the trophy, defending champion, somehow I managed to win from the 6th seed. Thank you in no large part from Travion Henderson, who got me 2 doubles, which it's been a long time since I've seen that. I actually kept my cool for the most part, my fist pumping when Jacob saw that. Josh Jacobs hurt, but still got 25 points.
Amazing.
And the $5 was well worth picking up the Bears defense with 19 points for the week, which
huge.
ironically is what I won by, was 19 points. I was a little concerned going into Monday night, going against Jalen Warren, and I was especially worried about Achan because he can break off doubles just as much as anybody.
And they were still giving it to him with
they were still
30 seconds left.
Yes. I mean, he didn't have any touchdowns, but he still had 19 points. Like, I'm like, what? Just let me. And I wasn't drinking, so
Yeah, it's the Dolphins. But it's the good news for you is it's the Dolphins in the cold weather. If it was in Miami, you probably would have lost. The Dolphins in the cold.
Yeah.
The Dolphins in the cold weather don't do anything. Also, in the League of Bastards, Dad. Just a warning, you are going against Brandon Aubrey again this week.
Oh, fantastic! And
Sorry.
Josh
and
Allen.
this was a week he missed. This was a week he missed 2 field goals too.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out you're going against him again this week, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, 3rd place probably is hopefully in the cards for me. I just want to pay for all my transactions, which, by the way, I had 17 transactions this year. Not sure about how many high scores. Hopefully, I can offset some of those $5 fees. But yeah, 17 transactions to lead the league to back into the 6th place playoffs.
I got to be close to that. I haven't looked at my number, but I got to be close to that. Trying to stay afloat, and it was just freaking. I just couldn't. I was 6 and 8. Didn't make it. So
pretty sure you're in double digits. I looked at the transaction counter, just to give myself an idea. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the pot is. Even like people like our friend Tony, who's in there, who never like hits above. Even he had like 5 or 6 transactions, and he usually gets his 3 free. And there was just so many injuries this year.
Too many injuries. The bye weeks were crazy. There was a lot of transaction activity for sure.
It was freaking nuts. But I got a bye in the Beavers League. However, I lost Jaden Daniels. I lost Patrick Mahomes. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. on the bench. I have Alvin Kamara on the bench. I picked up Devin Neal to cover Alvin Kamara, who now is also out. I think I have literally like 5 O's or Q's going into the bye week. I don't really have.
So your entire bench is O's and Q's.
Audric Estime. Audric Estime is the name to look at.
He is written down. We will get to pickups later. But yeah, that
sounds
was my week. I'm sorry, I rambled a little bit there.
Ouch. All right, Jacob, how about your week?
I mean, my week was the same as the two of yours, and one late week, the super flex. Unfortunately, my week was pretty relaxing, all things considered, because my teams didn't make the playoffs. So I was just
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch watching football as just a neutral fan for once. It was kind of relaxing and just very quite enjoyable, to be honest with you. And then I had work during the afternoon games, which kind of sucked because I missed like the actual good football games
The good
that were
ones
going
were
on.
in the afternoon for sure. Yeah,
Was I mean that Denver Green Bay game was a fun one.
for sure.
Rams in Detroit is, if it wasn't a division rival, it was also a fun one.
Huge.
I mean those were those games.
They weren't fun. They weren't funny.
Yeah, not for
I don't.
Andrew.
Yeah, I don't think going against Puka Nakua was your favorite thing there, Dad. Huh? I didn't think so.
Puka Nakua. I'll let Jeff explain his
Yeah,
team.
but
Yeah, that was
Jeff,
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about the Just Awful League there first, and then
Yeah.
I'll kind of bounce back off kind of what you say.
Sure. So from my standpoint, in the AFL, where I barely missed the playoffs, yeah, of course, you know what that means. It means Kyle Pitts 43 points, Courtland Sutton 23.8, Lamb 17, Travion Henderson 44, Darren Waller 22. Thanks, guys, for doing that all year. Oh wait, you didn't. That's why I didn't make the playoffs. League of Bastards, I was eliminated, as you know, and you know what that means. Brian Thomas got 15, Bijan 25, Knicks 35. Thanks, guys, for doing that all year. Oh wait, you didn't do that all year, sons of bitches. And then League of Bastards, that's not the same story. I just had no chance, and I had Burrow, who would have sunk me anyway if I even made it any further. He only had like 6 points in a quarterback heavy league. That will kill you. And like you said, we blew it in the super flex, but I am holding on for one more day because of the keeper league. Thanks, guys. No, really, this time, thanks, guys. Trey McBride, Bo, Puka, Cortland, thank you for the afternoon games. Those things really pulled me out. It looked a little dire against Andrew in our quarterfinal game, but those guys really pulled it through, and it was kind of fun. I was still a little worried when he had Justin Jefferson and Waddle left with a decent lead, and those guys didn't do crap.
6.8 points from Justin Jefferson and Waddle combined.
Yeah.
And Bucky got me 7.8 on the Thursday night game. I hate Tampa because they kept bringing in Sean Tucker at the goal line, and it was just
stupid.
It was just stupid.
Yeah.
Carry that guy. He's actually one of my keepers, but finally get to start him for the playoffs and butt kiss. But that was a well-deserved victory, Jeff. You beat the shite out of me. It
was a long time coming because I think you went 6-2 or 7-2 against me all year. So those weren't very fun. But anyway, holding on for one more day. You're holding on for one more day in a couple. So let's talk about some of the just awful things that we saw for this week. Andrew, you mentioned a couple of your guys. What else you got?
The just awful call of the week. Well, scenario was not that it mattered in the Superflex, but Jacob and I were watching Fantasy Football Now on ESPN.
Yeah.
At 10:59, because we had already checked Rome Odunze. 10:59 as they're signing off, they're like, "Oh, just a reminder, Rome Odunze is hurt and he's not going to be playing, even though he was listed as active. As active. He aggravated it in warm-ups, and they literally said it at 10:59. Jacob is my witness. Went right to the Yahoo app to try to change it to put in Romeo Dobbs. Locked out. So I immediately text the commissioner, and I did not take a screenshot of the time, and I should have. But I texted him like, "Hey, Yahoo's locked us out. 10:59. I'm trying to change it." And by the time it got to him, he's just like, yeah, nothing. And I don't blame the commission.
It wouldn't have changed anything either, but
no.
It just stinks that late of a
an announcement.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching a fantasy football show. I probably watched the last hour of it. You could have said it maybe 5 minutes before
Yeah,
that.
you can
instead of-
pause. Yeah, because I just from experience of being in like live studio shows at all, they have an earpiece in which their producer is actively talking to them on every segment. Their producer could have said, "Hey, you might want to mention Roma Odunze's out," like a few minutes before that. You can see the earpiece in there. Their producers are actively talking to them while they're talking. Like you don't throw that in there on the. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's just
that's brutal.
I think that's really a failure in production talent. I think ESPN should issue an official apology to Just Awful Sports for what downside it. Granted, it did not matter. I was gonna pivot right off that dad with the Just Awful team in that Superflex league. Um, yeah, I mean that really sucked, and it was just I think we had such an inconsistent season like going into it. I mean last year we were inconsistent, but we kind of had we always had good weeks. We just went against teams that had better weeks. I think this year our team relied way too much on Jonathan Taylor, and our receivers were kind of I don't want to say they were failures, but they were pretty close to failures. I mean Brian Thomas Jr. didn't do jack shit for most of the year.
Terrible.
Until thanks finally only took you to the playoffs when we were already losing by 40. It only took you that long.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton up and down. I mean, we couldn't get. It was
Roller
really
coaster.
a lot more down than up. But that was it. And then losing Jaden Daniels was losing your first round pick is a killer. And we
especially in a super flex where the quarterback is so important. Yeah,
and then we lose Tyrod Taylor to injury. We lose, and then we have to start Kenny Pickett at quarterback. Yeah, that didn't freaking work. That was lovely. That was horrible to watch. I will say I did it. Two things I did predict, and that I was right. I said Jalen Hurts was gonna have a bounce back week, and the Raiders was a perfect game for him to have a bounce back week. It's exactly what he did, because the Raiders are so bad. I think Pete Carroll's time in Vegas is going to be very, very short lived. I think he was supposed to be like a plug in, make the playoffs kind of coach, and it just didn't work out that way. So I think he's gone. And then I will say, I said at the beginning of the year, I was in on Kyle Pitts. He would eventually, by the play. I think I did actually say this in the playoffs. Kyle Pitts was going to be the tight end you're going to want to start because it's going to get it going finally by the end of the season. And I mean, that's the Kyle Pitts week that everyone's been waiting for 4 years. So
yeah, and then he'll play the Cardinals, who are usually terrible against tight ends, and he'll get like 5. He'll disappear.
It's possible, very possible.
That's normal Kyle Pitts. Yeah. So for me, Just Awful for me was that I may have won, but Seattle's defense, dude, you're playing against Grandpa, and you let him keep you guys at bay. You only got 4 points as a defense against Grandpa. I'm a grandpa now. Come on. There's no way I would keep anybody in a game against your defense. What are you doing, guys? And a runner-up is Ashton Janty. I mean, there's so much talent. But Kenny, Tiny Trump Hands Pickett is terrible, as you mentioned. I mean, how is he even in the league? I don't even understand. Like, he's been stretched out for so long in this league. Who is holding on to this guy? He's terrible. Anyway, okay. So that's let's move to the doghouse. Let's go beyond just what was just awful. The Kenny Pickett thing was just awful. All right, Andrew, let's move into who's in your doghouse at the wrong time in going into the semifinals here.
Justin Jefferson is still in the doghouse. Like he has been a major disappointment. It seems that everybody else on Minnesota's wide receiving core is scoring. Naylor's scoring. Addison's scoring. Aaron Jones
Hawkinson,
Sr. is scoring.
Yeah.
Hawkinson is scoring. Like there might be Oliver, the backup tight end, is scoring. You know who's not scoring? Justin Jefferson. You know who's not getting catches? Justin Jefferson. I've never seen anything like it. He was my number. I'm pretty sure he was one of my top picks, and every team that I have him on is now been eliminated.
Yeah, there was one of those where he was in the end zone and it went right through his hands, and you can't blame that one. McCarthy missed him on a couple. I can attest to that, but the one in the end zone, it went right through his hands, and that's on JJ. That he doesn't drop those, so that was very odd.
Yeah, you gotta wonder about
it's a frustration
mindset.
thing. Yeah, it's gotta be a frustration thing.
He says he doesn't mind if they're winning. No, I'm sorry. Wide receivers are not built that way. Just look at AJ Brown. Got that same thing. And I don't know if anybody watched all of the Monday night game, but Tua,
He's gone.
he's. I read today that McDaniel said that Tua could very well be benched.
Yeah, he said it. He said everything's. They asked him, and he said everything's on the table. So I'd say there's a more likely than not chance that in the next 2 weeks, Tua Tagovailoa or Tua turn the ball over at this point will probably no longer be the quarterback in Miami. His time.
I think.
He
I
should
think
retire.
Phillip,
Honestly, he should retire.
I think
He was
Philip
miserable.
Rivers has a stronger arm than him right now. I mean,
It's entirely
It was-
possible. Well, 5
it-
years of rest will allow your arm to get a
well,
little
that's
bit
true. That's true. That's true. What about you, Jeffrey? Who you got in the doghouse?
My doghouse, at the wrong time, Ladidi.
Oh.
Lad, where you at, man? 3 targets. That was my keeper. Like, he had 3 points last week. That's just, I can't start him. And he's going against Dallas this week, and it's supposed to be a good matchup, but I can't get him in my lineup because he's only getting 3 targets in that offense. It's just very, very difficult. And then Brees Hall, of course. He just continues to underwhelm. That offense is terrible. You're on their 3rd string quarterback. I think he got banged up a little bit, but Isaiah Davis ends up getting all the fantasy points in that one. So fortunately, I have Isaiah Davis if the injury is anything serious. But come on, Brees Hall, you're better than that. So yeah.
I think I skipped over Jacob. for
you
the
did.
doghouse.
I was
I'm
going to go
sorry.
back there.
I'm
So,
sorry.
Jacob, you
Yeah.
got a doghouse.
bad.
I
My
do
bad.
have
I'm sorry.
I do have a doghouse. His name is Travis Kelce, and pretty much the rest of the Chiefs' offense for the rest of the season.
Yep.
They weren't good before this week. They're going to be even worse after this week. I mean, losing arguably the best quarterback in the NFL overall. I know he's not had his best season. I know they haven't played their best, but losing the best quarterback in the NFL is going to hurt your team significantly. I think Kelsey's career is actually coming to an end this year. This seems like it's his last time. It seems like that Chiefs team is going to look very, very different coming out of next year if they can get some pieces right. So, and Gardner Minshew, I mean, that interception was ridiculously bad. Like that's a really bad interception throw.
Yeah. At that time, you're already close to field goal range. You don't need to force it there. You got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
That was a tough one for sure.
That's like the main one of my doghouse. So I'm just trying to look to see if there's anyone else. I mean, finally, one of my teams that missed the playoffs had a great week this week. 150. So all those players that were in my doghouse, they're out of the doghouse. They're back in. Yeah. We're good. So it's good. But I think the Cardinals players not named Jacoby Brissett and Trey McBride are also in my doghouse in general. Michael Wilson's been okay, but I think fantasy wise, I don't think he gets enough targets for me to warrant starting him. But I could be wrong. I think McBride.
I think he's fine. I think with no Harrison there, he's had a couple of very very, very good weeks. Michael Wilson.
He may have saved his job. He may have saved his job in Arizona. Like he may.
Yeah, I think he's definitely.
He may be coming back next year for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully the rest of the team is not. Hopefully, get rid of him.
So, all right, let's talk about who's our bounce back or top performers that we are looking for in Week 16. Andrew.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Here's a one. You mentioned the Cardinals. I think you're gonna have to do it just because of Atlanta's defense. I think you have to, look at Michael Carter. He was a pickup earlier in the season when there were injuries. Now Bam Knight got put on the IR today. So you got him and Amari DiMarcado, but it seemed last week that Carter's going to get the lion's share of the carries, and I think he actually caught a few passes as well. And I think that Cardinals game could be a few points scored. So if you need somebody, I think Michael Carter should be on that list of players. Desperation mode in the playoffs, but got to do what you got to do in the playoffs.
What it takes. You with all these injuries that we just talked about, you might fit in nicely. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Jacob, who are your top performers coming into this semifinal week?
I'm looking at a couple quarterbacks. I think that Jacoby Brissett is going to have a decent week. I mean, he's been pretty consistent with like 20 points every week, even in weeks where that team is losing by 30 points. Like his fantasy numbers are great. Now, if he can, I prefer like as a Cardinals fan, even though maybe they don't not anymore. I prefer them to keep losing. Good draft pick, but in general, as a Cardinals fan, I prefer him to have those numbers closer in the first and second quarter than in the fourth quarter when they're down by 30. But from a fantasy perspective, it doesn't matter when they get the points. They get the points no
That's right.
matter what. I think Jared Goff's been. I think he's looking better and better. I think this week, even though they lost, I thought he looked very good against the Rams. Plays the Steelers, who have been inconsistent defense to say the least. I mean, they obviously have a talented defense, but they've been pretty inconsistent all year. And then Bryce Young against Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa doesn't look good. And overall, I think Bryce Young's bound for a bounce back week to try and get themselves back in the playoff conversation after a game that they probably shouldn't have lost against New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely interesting. For me, I'm going to go with Omarion Hampton against Dallas. I think that game's going to have quite a few points, and I liked how they used him. They've been using him a little bit, but he hasn't been amazing. But I think he's going to break off at least one big one. I think the last time I called his name out, he did break a big one out the next week. So, I'm going to go there. And then, I'm going to go the tight end matchup, Pitts and McBride. I think both of them had huge weeks last week. I think that's going to continue. I don't think either team really does a good job against tight ends. So I think both those guys are going to be big performers coming into this week. So
also,
McBride's
like impossible to cover. Like no team in the league can cover him. So
just ask Mark Schlereth. Mark Schlereth wanted to marry him. I think if you listen to the game at all, I texted in a group text. I said, find somebody that loves you as much as Mark Schlereth loves Trey McBride, because you will live a life of happiness. Yeah. So
hey, we love Trey McBride too.
I do. I lock him up for as long as his career lasts.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So what are these games that are the biggest games that we are looking at coming into week 16? Andrew, what are your big games?
It's not the most exciting game in the standings wise, but for fantasy sake, I think you got to look at Cincinnati at Miami. You got Burrow, who's they say is going to still play. That might be a bounce back person as well. He can't play any worse than he did last week. You have Chase, obviously. You still have Waddle, and you have Achane. So you really have both sides. Anytime someone is on offense, there's going to be fantasy implications for that.
Don't forget about Darren Waller. Did you see what Darren Waller's been doing?
That too, yeah. Didn't he have he got both touchdowns last night, I think, right?
2.
Yeah. Yep. So, and if especially if there's a quarterback change, the newer quarterbacks tend to look for the tight ends and the running backs. So that's one of them. And then Pittsburgh at Detroit. I mean, that should be a really good game. We got DK on one side, the running backs. Kenneth Gainwell has been on fire. He actually helped us. One of our top performers. That was just like a must pick up just because he was just available. But then you're gonna have Goff. You got Amon-Ra. You got Gibbs. Should be a high scoring game because neither team is. Pittsburgh's defense is not as good as they played last week. I think Detroit's going to put up points, and I think Pittsburgh's going to put up points. So, fantasy-wise, those are the 2 games that I'm looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Jacob, what games are you looking at this week?
Yeah, 2. I agree. I mean, I think gentlemen. It's December. It means there's Saturday night football going on, and I'm looking at Packers and Bears. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, Odunze, Caleb Williams. Assume if Odunze's healthy, I know he aggravated the injury in warmups. So who knows if he's healthy, but DJ Moore's looked a little bit better here and there. Colston Loveland's an option at tight end for people who need tight ends. And then on the Green Bay side, if Jacobs is back to healthy, he's going to play. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. There's Jordan Love in 2 quarterback leagues especially. I think there's definitely a lot of fantasy options there. And then I'm interested in Monday Night Football. I'm going to skip ahead 2 days and go to Monday Night Football with Phillip Rivers and that Colts offense, seeing what they can do. Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, McCaffrey for the Niners, Kittle for the Niners. I mean, those are big games. Yeah. The Niners are as beat up as they've been. They're still in the playoffs. I mean, they're still very likely going to make the playoffs unless they lose out. So it's a big game for both teams, and the Colts are just trying to hang on with Phillip Rivers, and I actually predict that they will, and they will get Phillip Rivers will have an NFL win at 44 years old coming this week at home against San Francisco.
Clearly true.
Interesting at home. Yeah.
I do have to interject one thing. Since you mentioned Saturday football, Saturday is our own Jeff Capis's birthday as well.
Hey,
So a happy early
birthday to
Hey,
Jeff.
thanks. Yeah, Grandpa
So,
gets another birthday.
Grandpa gets
Thank
another
goodness.
birthday. 22 years old and still looking young as ever.
That's right. That's right. Well, for me, I was going to go for one of those birthday games, but Jacob took it. Chicago Green Bay is always a good game. I love a division rival. It's at Chicago. It's going to be cold as hell. So yeah, that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. The other one I'm looking for, Jacksonville, Denver. I got a lot of players in this one. I got Nick Sutton, Harvey, Brian Thomas. I mean, and I'm sure other people have folks like Trevor Lawrence, who had an amazing game last week. I think he had over 50 points fantasy-wise. Etienne's big, Brian Thomas. So, I need this game probably to go into the 50s because I don't think my opponent's got any of these guys. So, but yeah, both teams battling for some playoff positioning. And I just think that's going to be a pretty darn good game to watch.
Yeah, and Jacksonville's still fighting for that division too. They need to win as many games as possible. Houston's right on their back there.
Yeah,
so imagine going again. Imagine having Trevor Lawrence with 60 points last week and losing on your fantasy team.
Tough. That's tough to do.
It wasn't me, but I know a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
Who knows a guy who lost. So
right. All right. Well, we have we do have a question that came in. Paul from Gilbert. He needs a QB this week. So he's got people that are available like Tyler Shough, Bryce Young, Gardner Minshew, J.J. McCarthy, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. All these guys are available.
Wow.
So what do you guys think? Jacob, who do you think in this scenario?
So I will rank them. I'm gonna go Tyler Shough first. I mean, he for a guy who was kind of shit on when he got drafted by the Saints, he's been pretty good for a bad. They're a bad team, but he's been pretty solid, all things considered.
He's been decent. They're not winning a lot of games, but they're in them.
I think Shaw's been good, like okay for a rookie. It's not bad. I like Shough. I like Bryce Young actually this week. Just the matchup against Tampa Bay. And a defense that's been kind of struggling a little bit all year, and a team that's been struggling all year. I think this is the kind of game that Bryce Young's played well in all year. Mariota's an interesting. What were the other two? It was Minshew and who's the other one that we were just talking about?
J.J. McCarthy.
I'm gonna say I like
Kirk
J.J.
Cousins.
McCarthy. I like J.J. McCarthy this week. I don't like, but unless you're a Justin Jefferson fantasy owner. If you're just a J.J. McCarthy fantasy owner, I think he looked a little bit better. I know that Dallas defense is really hard to not score a lot of points on because they're just pathetic and really bad. But I think J.J. McCarthy is definitely an option if that's a need. But I would go either Shough or Young would be the two I would look at as my quarterback option.
Fair enough. Andrew, what do you think in this scenario?
Yeah, I think Shough is probably the higher rated one, just depending on your scoring system for quarterbacks. If it's quarterback heavy, he does get some running yards. I don't know about Bryce Young running the ball. Minshew, no, not touching with a 10-foot pole. JJ, again, it depends on the scoring because they tend to run the ball a little bit more. I don't know how many passing touchdowns he'd get. Cousins threw for 375 last week, and he looked pretty good, and he's going against the Cardinals defense. So I think I'd probably go Shough, Cousins, Young in that order.
Yeah. So I circled two. I circled Shough just because he's going against the Jets and what Trevor Lawrence just did to them. I mean, he just carved them up, and I think that team's really given up. So, and like you said, he could easily get some rushing yards, get a rushing touchdown. So I've got him listed first, and I've got Cousins second. I think be a little bit of a shootout. Two teams that don't really, they're just going to play. There's nothing on the line between those two teams. I think they're just going to play and they're going to score some points. So it'll be, I think, kind of a fun game in terms of that. So I'd go between those two. I might even err on the side of Cousins just because, like you said, he had He had a lot through the air. He could easily get a nice little screen pass to Bijan that he just takes to the house, and you'll get a nice double touchdown depending on your scoring. So yeah, I'd go there. So, all right. As always, you can send your questions to questions at Just Awful Sports. That's just AwFFLsports.com. That's all we've got for today. Good luck in your semifinals, and we will talk before the Super Bowls here. So for Andrew Fredericks, Jacob Fredericks, I'm Jeff Kapis. So long, everybody.